Okay, this is an answer to the question, what are my 10 favorite books of all time? I'll show them, give you my reason for liking them, and maybe a quote from them or something that I really enjoy. First one is Lonesome Dove. Now, this is a little bit strange. I've never actually read the book, but I've seen the movie many times. I've read lots of Larry McMurtry's books. I probably haven't read it fully all the way through because I've seen the movie so many times, but I have read the other ones in the series. It's an adventure story. It's about a cattle drive from Texas to Montana. My favorite character is Gus McCrae, one of the great characters in literary history, in my opinion. And favorite quotes, when Gus says, "I'm about half honest," and Claire, his one longtime love, says, "And that's the truth." Number 2, Hominids, the first part of a trilogy by Robert J. Sawyer, great science fiction writer. It's about two species of people, us Homo sapiens sapiens, and Neanderthals, living in parallel worlds. A Neanderthal scientist, physicist, accidentally travels into our own parallel dimension, and it kind of looks at society in a sort of different way. Especially when we get to see what Neanderthal society is like in the parallel world where Neanderthals evolved while we went extinct. Just different ways of planning cities and of living very intimate personal relationships just are fundamentally different in their society than in ours. Really kind of an interesting, exciting read. I think it should be made into a movie too. The Princess Bride. I just actually started reading this, and it's better than I ever thought it would be so far. I'm not too far into it, but I've read enough. And I love the movie, but the book is even more detailed, and it is all the great lines, and it is true love and high adventure. Again, I love that kind of stuff. Greatest lines, "As you wish," and of course, "My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die." Obviously, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, really all 7 of the books, but this is the one that started it all. I read it for the first time about 9 years ago. Read it before I saw the first movie, and just fell in love with the books, the movies, Wizard Rock, the fan culture, everything behind it. And my favorite quote, probably, which was also in the movie, is when Hermione says, "Now I'm going to bed before any of you get us killed, or get me killed, or worse, expelled." Something like that. And then Ron says, "She needs to sort out her priorities." Harriet history, to go along with the Harry Potter theme. Just Melissa Anelli wrote it, published it about 2 years ago. It's a history of Harry Potter fan culture. Love the book. She's a really, really amazing writer. She just grabs you and takes you into the story. It's very personal from her point of view, but it's also, she's kind of the number one fan. She's done, so much hard work going into the Leaky Cauldron website and Pottercast and interviewing and going to movie sets to report and she's interviewed so many people. She's a journalist by trade. She really knows what she's doing, and it's just a really great book on fan culture. You could read it as a Harry Potter story of Harry Potter fans, or just any, it could really be any fandom, but it is a great book. Lock, Kick, Billy, I just read this. It's a new Stephen King book. It's 2 short stories, and I gotta tell you, it's really the first Stephen King book I've actually ever read cover to cover. Very short. And one of the stories is about baseball. It does have, it's not as overly horrific. I mean, it's really an interesting 2 short stories. It makes me think that he missed his calling as a short story writer, because they are really great stories. Time and Again. I love Jack Finney. This is it. This is the one. This is the novel that got me into reading. I read it when I was in 10th grade, I think, for the first time, and I've read it many times since. It's worn down. It's about time travel, but it's not really a science fiction book. It's more a man an artist in his early 30s, who is approached by a government agency which is actually working on the problem of time travel, and they think they've solved it, and they need a person or a select few people who they think fit the ideal concept of the type of person that can travel through time, and it has a lot to do with meditation. But it takes place in New York, both in the 1970s and then back into the 1880s. The descriptions, it's a picture book too, but it all fits and works really, really well. It's been talked about as being made into a movie for a long time, but it's not a movie, but it is a great book. And one of my favorite lines is actually a song which, of course, a famous song is in it. It goes dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the field we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. Oh, what fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Now this one is called No Time Like the Present. This is actually more a nod to fan fiction. It's actually Kristen Shelley. I really got into Back to the Future fan fiction, which was something I was into for a long time, and she is a Back to the Future fan writer, one of two that I really loved reading for years. And this is her first novel. It's also a time travel novel, though it doesn't actually have to do with Back to the Future itself, but it's more a young adult, but she played an important role in my reading. Really into her. Replay, another time travel. You get the time travel theme here. Again, if you like Time and Again, then I think you'd also love Replay. It's about a man who lives his life, but when he dies, he's maybe in his 50s or 60s when he has a heart attack and dies, and suddenly he wakes up and he's like 18 years old again, and he just repeatedly replays his life over and over again. When he dies, he wakes up as a college student, and then he lives his life, and each time his life is different. He makes different choices, good, bad, in between, different results, but it's always also that bittersweetness of losing everything you worked hard for. And his life each time shrinks. First he's a college student, he lives until he dies, then he's in his 20s and he lives his life, and later 20s, so each time his life shrinks and shrinks and shrinks each time, so it's really kind of interesting on several levels. And of course, this is my 10th book, Calvin and Hobbes, another book that really got me into reading. I grew up reading Calvin and Hobbes. It's so intelligent comic strips. They're just so funny. I named several of my pet gerbils after characters in the Calvin and Hobbes books. So that's my 10 books.